season of American Horror Story. Now, as I've already gone over ad nauseum, everything in this picture is wrong except for the Angela Bassett part, okay? But I guess if they just showed her sitting in a regular chair, nobody would watch the show. Now, she being Marie Laveau, she had the third most visited tomb in the nation up until 2014. That is third only to Elvis and JFK in that order.
Wow.
Now, what happened to change the foot traffic is they shut down the cemetery to the public. It probably would have gotten even worse, y'all, because those were her numbers before season 3 Coven of American Horror Story, when she became a renewed pop icon, right? Now, something else she had in common with Elvis and JFK is that she reached iconic status while she was still alive. It's only gotten bigger since she's passed on. As a result, what we know about her for certain is almost nothing. What we know is mostly folklore, oral history. But I'm going to let y'all know both, what we think we know for sure and what the people say. What we think we know for sure. Voodoo Queen Marie Laveau was born here in New Orleans in 1801 to free people of color. Now, we know at least her mama was free because she was born free, and it was matrilineal. Her mother was a believed vaudouisan, as well as a homeopathic healer. Father was a Catholic by faith, planter by trade. Both of her parents taught her everything they knew about their respective religions, as well as her mother raising her in the healing arts. We know by the age of 18, she was in an arranged marriage with a free man of color by the name of Jacques Perry. It was not a happy union. He was a philanderer, known to run around on her. She was known to refer to herself as the widow Perry while the man was still alive.
Wow.
Never a good sign, y'all. No. He goes away on business one last time and does not return. The rumors start flying. One is, y'all, she can see into the future. She knew he was going to be gone before anybody else did. Y'all already know what that other rumor is. Y'all know it was that voodoo. She killed him with that voodoo. Now, at this time, she is 19 years of age. She has one child by Jacques Perry, another on the way. She can either try to refute these rumors or capitalize off of them. Which do y'all think she elected to do?
Capitalize.
Yeah, she got mouths to feed and her name makes money today. Okay? Now, at this point in history, it is widely believed she was a hairdresser and beautician by trade, known to be her own best advertisement, known to be very beautiful. And in the time of poxes, her healing skills get her into the upper echelon society wives' houses fairly quickly, because everybody wants that flawless skin for the society balls. Now, I don't care if you male, female, everything in between, at the barbershop or the beauty salon, what are people doing to help pass the time? Yeah, they're gossiping. She's getting intel from the women who are married to the men who run the city of New Orleans. I'm gonna stick a pin in that real quick because I want to direct your attention over here to y'all's right. This is the Masonic cemetery on your right, and you're gonna see the stairway to heaven probably any second now. You'll know it when you see it, but historically, they would have had the funeral at the very top, and they would have entombed the bodies down below.
Oh.
So I'm gonna go ahead and guess that they paid a little more than 200 grand for that tomb, y'all. All right, so. As I said, she's getting information from the women married to the men who run the city of New Orleans. Now, she being the enterprising young woman she is, she might stop a man in the French Quarter and say, excuse me, I hope you don't mind me bothering you. I just have this overwhelming sense that you've got an important business negotiation today. Now, that guy's in shock because she's 100% right, but he's never seen her before in his life. How could she possibly know that? She's got to be psychic. Or you told your wife, who mentioned it to her hairdresser. She would go on to say, I am a voodoo priestess. I can sell you a gris-gris bag. Make sure this goes in your favor. I can make him pick you and not her. Make sure she stays home at night, send more business your way, etc. Now, this is where some people start to reduce it to a hustler, which I definitely chafe against, because another thing we know for certain, y'all, Voodoo Queen Marie Laveau had a very large returning client base. People don't come back where they're not getting results. I think she was probably every bit of who she said she was. She just understood branding and advertising a little better than her counterparts. She understood this concept so well that you would have known Voodoo Queen Marie Laveau if you happened upon her in the 1800s and had never seen her before. The reason for this is by this time, the Tignon Law of 1786 is well in effect. What a Tignon is a head wrap. The races are mixing so much they can't tell who's white and who is not. So they pass a law saying that women of color have to identify themselves by covering their hair. Their hair. Now, the main reason the law passed, there are three major reasons, y'all. The first, they wanted to out white men who were in relationships with free women of color who were passé blanc, who could pass for white. They wanted to kind of shame them out of those relationships. Second reason, y'all, they felt free women of color were getting a little too above themselves, and they figured if they made them cover their hair, we'd more resemble the help. who forgot we from West Africa? You think we don't know what to do with a piece of cloth? The third and final reason, y'all, is my favorite. Apparently, historically, as today, women of color were known for having really beautiful, intricate hair designs. The white women think maybe that's why their husbands aren't coming home at night anymore. So they figured if they made women of color cover their hair, we'd be less attractive. I think I speak for women of color everywhere when I say good luck with that. But you want to know Voodoo Queen Marie Laveau, because her tignon always had 7 knots in it. 7 being an important number in the Bible, an important number in Vodou, and it created a towering 7-point crown at the top of her head because she was a voodoo queen. So when you saw that crown, you knew it was Marie Laveau, or someone pretending to be Marie Laveau, which was also a thing, y'all. Now, of course, today we know the reason that they couldn't tell who was white and who was not is because race is a social construct. We know that scientifically now, right? Like they say the only reason we look different is that our ancestors had to survive in different climates. That's the only difference between any of us. So of course they can't tell, right? 'Cause whatever. Now, as far as Voodoo Queen Marie Laveau, later on in life, she did enter into a second marriage. This was considered a left-hand marriage, meaning it was honored by the church but not the state because it was interracial. She married a white man by the name of Christophe Levion. This was a love connection. They loved each other in anywhere between 6 and 15 children, depending on the accounts that you find. Now, her obituary says 15 children, y'all. But it is being called into question for authenticity, which really just goes with the rest of her story. Now, the main reason there's such a large discrepancy in the number of children she may or may not have had is that a bunch of those children were girl children, all named after Mama. They got different middle names, but everybody Marie. They get a little bit older. She starts teaching them Mama's ways, the voodoo, the healing, dressing them up just like Mama, complete with that 7-point tignon, and eventually sending them out to meet people as Mama. So now the rumor is, not only can Voodoo Queen Marie Laveau be in multiple places at one time, but she don't age for nothing. Not for nothing. There's a little legend about her being immortal comes into play. She was kind of like a business genius, right? Like everything that they tried to, like, so the tignons were supposed to make her go down in social status, and she was like, trademark. They said we all look the same. She was like, I'm going to monetize that. Now, one of the most important things to impress upon you, she was an amazing woman. She was actually a really skilled healer as far as homeopathy was concerned. They do actually have records of where she allowed the Choctaw women who would come to trade seasonally at what is now considered the French market. They would actually camp in her front yard over on St. Anne. So not only had her mother taught her everything she knew about homeopathic healing, but the Choctaw women who had been here for about 300 years before the French even, they know more about the plant life, how to use it for healing, and they're teaching Marie Laveau. Now, she was known for healing people whether or not they could afford her services. And this is during the time of bloodletting. So you go to a doctor at this time in history, something wrong with you, that's going to cut you open. Hope whatever's wrong with you bleeds out before you do. She had a much higher success rate of actually healing folks. This is where some of the bastardization of her name and the name of Vodou continues in the city of New Orleans. The Caucasian physicians of this time feel she is hurting their business. They start telling people the only reason she gets such good results is she made a deal with the devil. Vodou is evil. You had others who wanted to see her canonized as a Catholic saint. She did so much good here in New Orleans. She was a devout Catholic by the time she passed on, known to be in Mass every single day. New Orleans has always been a place of both and, y'all, not either or. She prayed with people on death row, allowed the poor to entomb their dead in her family tomb over in St. Louis, #1, if it wasn't in use and they didn't have options. But her affiliation with Vodou made it impossible for her to be canonized as a Catholic saint. She is widely regarded, however, informally, as kind of the matron saint of New Orleans. And she is hands down, if not the most respected ancestor in the city. She's definitely the most talked about. Now, later on in life, she falls ill. She disappears into her house over on St. Anne. She emerges 8 years later, a young, spry thing, and says, I am Marie Laveau. Now, we know black don't crack, but it will eventually bend. Okay? We think that was her granddaughter, and that to this day, the most popular portrait and likeness you see everywhere, Voodoo Queen Marie Laveau, if that person's even related to her, likely that granddaughter. Marie the First never sat for a portrait. It did not go with her business model. So in African and African-American folk tales like Anansi the Spider and Brer Rabbit, you'll find the trickster plays an integral role. And that is because when the deck is stacked against you, you got to get creative. And if you were born in 1801 as a woman of color, in the American South, the deck is stacked against you. I like to think if she were alive today, nobody would call her a hustler. She'd probably be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company and on the cover of Black Enterprise magazine. She'd be Oprah. Y'all, she'd be Oprah. We'd all be reading Elle, okay? And that is my favorite version of the story of Voodoo Queen Marie Laveau. You will not hear the same story twice in the city of New Orleans. Now, a popular question I get asked a lot, does she have any living family in the area? The answer is as clear as the rest of her story. I went to the bank one day, and I still have my tour guide badge on, and the teller noticed it, and she was like, oh, my boyfriend's family is related to her, but they're all devout Catholics, so they deny it. You have the other half of New Orleans where in up, down, and sideways, there are direct descendants of the Voodoo Queen of New Orleans. We got folks legally changing their name, their last name to Laveau out here, y'all. Now, 9 times out of 10, they lying. But how you know which 10% you talking to? So her story continues to be this free, ever morphing thing. This is the point where we say thank y'all so much for choosing Cajun Encounters. If you enjoyed yourself, please especially go to TripAdvisor. Give us that 5-star review. Please mention me by name, Malika. That goes a long way with my boss. Unless, of course, you did not have a 5-star experience, at which point I urge you to hold that inside. We do offer lots of tours. Should you go on any of them again, tell them you want Malika's discount. They'll take $8 off the next tour you buy. I'm available for suggestions and directions, all of which I will give you as you disembark. Finally, the majority of what tour guides go home with comes from the gratuities we get from our amazing patrons. Cash is lovely. I also have Cash App and Venmo if that's helpful to you. I'll have that QR code up as you're leaving, as well as my personal business card. So if you have any questions and you want to send me some emails, feel free to do so, and I'll have that business card ready and available. Thank y'all again for choosing Cajun Encounters. I'm going to take us out with some second line music.